This is Vader Reviews. We are honored that you would join us. This is where the fun begins as I count down my top 5 favorite Nintendo 64 games. But before we begin, this week's video is brought to you by the generous support from Heroes of the Empire, Captain Matthew Nicholson, and I'm just happy to be a Stormtrooper Adam Jordan. The Empire thanks you for your service, my friends. If you're new to the channel, join the Empire today by subscribing. And if you enjoy our content, drop a few credits in our PayPal so we can continue to bring you weekly videos. And now, let the games begin. Fighting for a spot on our roster, number 5 kicks off our list, and we're coming out swinging with a smash hit. Released in North America on April 26, 1999, Super Smash Bros. Proved it was a heavyweight title, selling over 5 million copies worldwide by 2001. And while 12 fighters may seem like a small number compared to the later iterations in the series, Smash 64 still packs a punch. Masahiro Sakurai of HAL Laboratory, a Nintendo second-party developer, worked on his prototype for the game in secret with co-worker Satoru Iwata. And to make his game stand out from a myriad of other fighters, he hit on the genius concept of using Nintendo's flagship characters like Mario, Donkey Kong, and others for his roster. While I spent many hours playing as Samus, Star Fox, and Captain Falcon, Link was always my go-to fighter of choice. You can call me punchy if you want, but this game still packs a wallop, beating many other fighting games I've played over the years in a melee of excitement. When you're up for a good brawl, Super Smash Bros. 64 is a knockout. Now this is kart racing. Crossing the finish line in 4th place is Diddy Kong Racing. And while you may think I'm bananas for including this title instead of Mario Kart 64, sadly, there is only room for one racing game on my list. And with the variety of characters, tracks, weapons, and vehicles Diddy Kong Racing has to offer, this game isn't monkeying around. Incorporating adventure elements with a hub world, storyline, hidden challenges, and boss races, this is a rare treat, to say the least. Diddy and his cute animal friends race against time to save their island from an uncultured swine who wants to hog it all for himself. Yes sir, you can never go wrong with a caped space wizard as your villain, even if Wizpig is a bit of a ham. As a dinosaur fan, I enjoyed the Dino Domain racetracks the most. You even get to race Tricky the Triceratops. Yes, that Tricky. Interestingly, Timber the Tiger, my go-to racer because he's great, was supposed to be the hero of a little game called Dinosaur Planet, until he was replaced with Razor and Crystal. This version of the game was also rebranded as a Star Fox vehicle when the title moved to the GameCube. Where was I? Oh yes, Diddy Kong Racing. I have a lot of fond memories playing the multiplayer races and battle modes. We turned the Fire Mountain multiplayer egg hunt into a dogfight as younglings. The way we kept score was by shooting eggs off of each other. Try it sometime with your friends. It's a great hoot. Composer David Wise lends his signature rare flair to the game, writing some catchy ditties for the soundtrack. Within 3 weeks of its release, Diddy Kong Racing sold 1 million copies. It would go on to become the Nintendo 64's 8th best-selling game of all time, with 4.8 million copies worldwide. And these days, getting a game as colorful and charming as this is rare indeed. When it comes to my top 3 slots, I don't really have a favorite. My mood at the time determines which of these I want to play. But since this is a list after all, I have to rank them somehow. So claiming the number 3 slot is a super title featuring a light-hearted fan-favorite hero in red and blue. You knew he had to be on this list somewhere. Superman 64. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I'm talking about Mario 64, the Empire Strikes Back of 3D platformers by which all others are judged. Released as a launch title for the console on September 29, 1996, Mario 64 is the best-selling game for the system, with over 11 million copies sold worldwide. And mamma mia, that's a lot of cartridges. To truly realize the significance of Mario 64, you have to understand what it was like growing up playing only 2D games like Centipede and Berserk on the old Atari 2600, and eventually graduating to Sonic the Hedgehog and other titles on the Sega Genesis. Compared to this, playing the Nintendo 64 was revolutionary, quite literally taking your first step into a larger world. Director Shigeru Miyamoto was inspired to create a 3D Mario game during the production on the original Star Fox for the Super Nintendo in 1993. Over the next 3 years, Miyamoto and his rotating team of 15 to 20 people changed the face of gaming forever, pioneering gameplay elements still utilized to this very day. As Dan Houser, one of the developers of Grand Theft Auto, once said, "Anyone who makes 3D games who says they'd not borrowed something from Mario 64 or Zelda is lying." Fun fact, Charles Martinet, the iconic voice behind Mario himself, also provided the voice of the arch-nemesis Bowser, as well as the Boos in Mario 64, while Leslie Swan, the then editor of Nintendo Power, lent her voice to Princess Peach. With its innovative gameplay, colorful 3D worlds, and charming characters, Mario 64 inspired an entire genre of classic adventure games, like Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, Spyro, and even modern games like Playtonic's Yooka-Laylee. And it's all thanks to the visionary imagination of Shigeru Miyamoto, without whom Nintendo, as well as video games themselves, would not be what they are today. But speaking of Miyamoto's games, flying has always captured his imagination, and mine as well. I'm a pilot, you know, so it should come as no surprise that at least one flying game would make it onto my list. As I've said many times, spinning is a good trick, so check your G diffuser system, and do a barrel roll as we discuss my number 2 pick, Star Fox 64. With more than 300,000 copies sold just 5 days after its US release on June 30th, 1997, Star Fox 64 would go on to become the 9th best-selling game for the console with over 4 million copies sold. Like most children, I love talking animal characters in cartoons. Disney's Robin Hood and The Fox and the Hound were among my favorite films, and the series Tailspin and SWAT Cats captured my imagination with their high-flying animal heroes. Star Fox 64 was released at the perfect time for me personally, having just seen Star Wars for the first time, and now experiencing 3D gaming on top of that. It was the perfect blend of everything I loved as a youngling. It was essentially Star Wars with talking animal characters, and it doesn't get much better than that. Not only were 3D games something new at the time, the dialogue, cutscenes, and amazing score by composer Koji Kondo made Star Fox 64 feel like an epic cinematic experience, and their branching level system, coupled with the multiplayer battle mode, gave the game endless replayability. Originally planned as Star Fox 2 for the Super Nintendo, when Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation consoles were launched, producer Shigeru Miyamoto, the Stan Lee of Nintendo who gave us Mario, Legend of Zelda, Metroid, and many other series, decided to develop Star Fox for the Nintendo 64, which would launch the following year, and I'm so glad he did. I must have played through this game hundreds of times, but it still never gets old. The medal ceremony upon completing the game feels like the ending of Star Wars, and it gave me such a feeling of accomplishment every time I played it. And for my money, it's still the best Star Fox game ever made. Jetting in at number 1 is a force to be reckoned with, Jet Force Gemini. It's Starship Troopers meets Gunstar Heroes. Do insects bug you? Do you get antsy at the sight of them? When the galaxy is infested with giant soldier ants, it's up to space twins Juno and Vila to act as exterminators with the help of their faithful Poochie Lupus. Released on October 11th, 1999, Jet Force Gemini combines the fast-paced antics of classic arcade games like 1981 Centipede with more advanced Metroidian gameplay, seamlessly blending the shoot-'em-up and action-adventure genres into a one-of-a-kind experience. Developed by Rare's Blast Corps team in 1997, the game was also heavily inspired by sci-fi cinema and anime. As lead artist Lee Musgrave said, "There are elements of Star Wars in there, Aliens, Dune, Battle of the Planets, and even Stargate. It was a real mix of everything and anything space-related, with weapons ranging from flamethrowers and rocket launchers to grenades, shurikens, and machine guns. This game is a blast. At the time of its release, the graphics and sound were without peer, with real-time light and shadows and a glorious sweeping score. The game had a cinematic scope of a soaring space opera as you fight your way through Mizar's insect armies to bring order to the galaxy, rescuing the Ewok-like tribals from giant blue ants. And I gotta say, nothing ends a bug's life better than a tri-rocket launcher. As with most Nintendo 64 games, the local 4-player split-screen battle mode provided hours of enjoyment after the storyline was complete. I could regale you with more anecdotes of my younger days playing this gem until my eyes bugged out of my head. To this day, when I see the menu screen, I still feel a sense of anticipation of going on a bug hunt. But those are my top picks. Did any of your favorites make my list? And what are your favorite games? Let me know in the comments below. And always remember, you don't know the power of the dark side.